Victoria Jackson is a sports historian at Arizona State University. She's also a former college and pro athlete. She's an expert in the business of college athletics, and she believes that college football should be its own separate entity, especially at the Power 5 level, and that the players should get a piece of the pie. It's an idea that's gaining steam among athletic directors and university presidents. Here's Victoria with more on that topic.
Part of what gets us tripped up is this kind of idea that's been promoted by the universities, their conferences, and the NCAA, that all of the sports within intercollegiate athletics are the same, and they all serve the same functions, and therefore the athletes are deserving of the same benefits. And I think that's absolutely a farcity. I think it's absurd at best. The relationship that college football has to the business of higher education sets it apart from the rest of intercollegiate athletics. It's not even the case that football is the revenue generator and helps support and subsidize the other sports. That's true, but I think what is really the foundation of what makes football a sport apart from the rest of what's taking place in American college sports is that the universities themselves have worked over the last 40 years or so to pull back power and authority and the control of money from football, from the NCAA, and back with the universities themselves. And we really saw this go down in 2014, 2015 with the autonomy move, which gave us the term Power 5 conferences, with the college football playoff launching. From that 2014, 2015 period to the eve of the pandemic in early 2020, the Power 5 conferences made an acceleration in money growth. So it went from $2 billion a year to $4 billion a year in less than 8 years. It was an average of $252 million a year increase every year from 2014, 2015 until 2020. And, university presidents have been celebrating conference commissioners and athletic directors for bringing the college sports, and when we say that, we really mean college football, business into the 21st century. They've done that, but they haven't brought football athletes along for the ride. The fact that we haven't seen media rights revenue sharing with football athletes, the fact that we haven't seen an employee-employer relationship developed between football players and the universities they play for is really telling. And if we had seen those things, we wouldn't see the patchwork of weird rules around NIL and NIL collectives and booster restrictions. None of that stuff would matter anymore.
With your idea of going completely separate, where do you see name, image, and likeness evolving, and kind of what are your thoughts on the current state of it?
Yeah, name, image, and likeness, it at its core, all it does is restore to students who play sports the economic rights of all students. And the story I like to tell by comparison is that when I was a student at North Carolina, I was a scholarship athlete, and I also played in the orchestra. And my stand partner in the orchestra was a music major, and she was on scholarship money too. And she would play in a quartet on the weekends, paid gigs, make some money, but she didn't lose her amateur status, and she didn't lose her scholarship or her ability to continue to, pursue her education and her dream. We've created so many artificial concepts. And at the end of the day, all it has been is to make sure football players haven't been classified as employees. And so what NIL does is give athletes the rights of all other students on campus to engage in work and sign contracts with third parties. That money isn't coming from the schools, it's coming from third parties. And it could be a local pizza shop, or it could be, Paige Buckers signed a big deal with Gatorade. If we're looking at the biggest scale of athletes signing endorsement deals with, major sports companies. But another thing is the ability for athletes to run camps in the summer in their hometowns. Talk about something that's a positive contribution to the community. It's a way to opt in and, contribute to the growth of girls and women's participation opportunities in sport, and you get paid too, right? And before, that was against the rules. And if, the NCAA found out you were doing something like that, you could lose your eligibility.
Thank you so much for the time and that perspective, both as an academic and as a former college and professional athlete, because I feel like you're attacking it from all angles. So it brings a lot of clarity. So thank you for that.
Oh, thanks, Jordan.